Today I want to talk about 5 non-negotiables in our homeschool. These are aspects of our homeschool that we just don't negotiate on. We do not compromise on. We do not forego. We say that these are constants within our homeschool. Now, I'm going to tell you my 5, but please make sure that you include down in the comments what are some of your non-negotiables. What are aspects of your homeschool that you are so adamant about that you will not negotiate on them? So our first one is our morning time. We love our morning time. During this morning time, we watch something on the television, which could be either World Watch News or a documentary, and we have been doing this for at least 3 years. I could probably go back and see if we've been doing it longer, but it's just such a nice way for us to start our day. We have loved The Food That Built America. That is probably one of our favorite documentaries that we watched. We also watched The Toys That Built America. We watched Our World, Our Earth, and that was great. We learned some amazing things about animals and our planet when we were watching that documentary. But with regards to The Food That Built America, we were able to then go and utilize what we learned and put it into practice. So we did popcorn challenges, we did soda taste tests, but we really took those documentaries and made them part of our daily lives in that we were able to discuss them, we were able to really enjoy what they taught us. And also with World Watch News, it has been absolutely wonderful this year in learning news from a Christian perspective and really understanding more about what is going on in the world. I love the 10 minutes every morning where we do watch World Watch News. I do miss the documentaries, but I love watching World Watch News with my daughter. Also within our morning time are our read alouds, and this is such a fun time for us. With our read alouds, we will either do a historical fiction or a fun book. Gordon Corman is our favorite. We also may do some kind of classic. We did read King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. So it's just been a really great time to set aside for us to do read alouds. And read alouds are part of our morning time that we will not negotiate on. We have been doing read alouds for 5 years, and I'm so thankful that we have made them as an important part of our homeschool. The second non-negotiable that we have within our homeschool is memorization. Yes, we memorize. Now, we don't memorize everything all the time, but I do think it is a very important part of an education is to learn how to memorize as well as to understand what you're memorizing. So this may be Bible verses, and you want to understand what the verse says, not just be able to regurgitate the words that come out of the verse, but know where to find it in the Bible if you need it in the future, and to understand what it is really saying to you. We also memorize poems. We memorize important speeches that have taken place. My daughter memorized the Gettysburg Address a few years ago, and she is still able to say it. I'm so excited about that. But memorization is something that is very important for us in our homeschool. I just think as you get older, what you have memorized really comes back to you continuously, and that is such an important part of growing up. Something else that is a non-negotiable for us are science experiments. If there's a science experiment with that lesson, we will do it. And it's just so much fun to do those science experiments. I think that they give you a greater understanding of what is happening with the concepts that you're learning about in science. But that's one of the reasons that we love Berean Builders is just the sheer amount of science experiments that they have available that they explain, and then how they explain it related to the concept that you are learning. My daughter is a kinesthetic learner, and so it's very important for her to be able to do these science experiments. I think that she has a very much deeper deeper understanding of science because of the experiments that she does. Now, our fourth non-negotiable is logic and critical thinking. Now, when I think about this, it's more than just a logic curriculum that I am talking about. Yes, we do have a logic curriculum. We love the mind benders from the Critical Thinking Company. We are working through the Art of the Argument right now, which is a great curriculum that we have, but it's just so much more than simply saying that we are working through a logic curriculum. It has to do more with knowing how to think, knowing how to study, knowing how to find the information, knowing where to find it, and then being a critical thinker about the information that you are finding. Because, quite frankly, not everything that you run across is going to be the truth. So you need to know what is the source of this information. How is it coming to you? What do you know about the person who wrote it? What do you know about biases that are involved? Is this a primary source? Is it a secondary source? But really being a logic and critical thinker is very important, because as we go on in life, it is necessary to be able to think logically, to not just say, oh, I don't know the answer, let's move on, but to say, okay, I may not know the answer, but where can I find the answer? And I think that is definitely a valuable skill to have in the future, is to be able to think logically, think critically, and know how to take that next step, even if you're not 100% sure of what is the end result. You know how to take the next step to find that end result. And then to be critical in knowing that not everything you run across is 100% truth. How do you determine whether the information that you have is true or it is not? But learning to logically think and be a critical thinker is definitely a non-negotiable within our homeschool. And the fifth non-negotiable that I want to talk about today is respect and accountability. We have to be held accountable for what we say we are going to do, for what we are responsible for doing. And so whenever there are assignments, whenever there are things that need to be done, then yes, we're accountable in doing those. And that is just something that is good to learn as you grow older, that you need to actually say what you're going to do and do what you say. And along those lines are respect. And that respect is definitely a two-way street, because, I can have bad days too, and she can have bad days, but we have to respect each other enough to be able to admit when we are having those bad days and to apologize, to forgive, to move on. These are all part of working with other people. That is definitely something that is needed. You need to be able to understand that you are accountable not only to yourself, but you're accountable to others. And that's why I say that respect really does go both ways. I need to be able to admit when I'm not at my best, or when I haven't done something that I was supposed to do, and I need to apologize if I didn't do it, rather than just blow off that apology. I need to say, I said I would do this and I didn't, and I will make sure that it gets done today, or however that should go. But I have to be able and willing to say if I have made a mistake as well, because I need to be able to set that example. I also, within respect, really try to limit the technology that is in our classroom during our school days. And so I want to not be distracted by the phone. I want my daughter not to be distracted by the phone. And we really need to be able to focus on each other and on what we are learning. I think that just gives for a much better day, and it has helped tremendously in learning to really focus on each other and on our what we are learning, versus focusing on a phone.